Okay, weiter. So, welcome back. So to our new guys. So just a very quick kind of summary. And again, it's always good to just have a refresher about what we're doing here and what the main goal is. So obviously this is the shiur. This is Tefillah shiur, but we're learning a sefer by Rav Shimshon David Pincus. That Rav Shimshon David Pincus was a massive rabbi. He was really incredible. He was killed at a very young age in a car crash. So he's actually this is like a modern day rabbi. I think it was in 2003, and he was the Rav of Ofakim. It was a tremendous personality. Like you would never even realize. If you hear the way he talks, I told you guys, you gotta hear the shiur. I'm gonna send it to the chat tonight. You gotta hear his shiur. Like they have on like Torah anytime, like his recorded shiurs. You would never expect. You look at a picture of him, he got like the big white beard, just got like a great smile, but like he's got like this high pitched, energized voice. Like it's the most incredible thing. Like, the guy's like an Energizer bunny, like hopping around. Like he was tremendous. Mechanech. He has an incredible understanding of just every Jew across the spectrum. Doesn't matter who. He's really like his words are just they're out of this world. So this sefer Sharim Betfilah is one of the Sfarim that he actually wrote by hand. So you'll see a lot of Sfarim that are by Rav Pincus, but those fall into the category of Nefesh Shimshon and other things, right? Those are recorded from his recorded shiur, and people wrote those afterwards. But his real Iker work, I think Sharim Betfilah. You see how small this book is? I think this took him 10 years to write, something like that. This like small little book, like the book that we have over here, and it's about tefillah because what he addresses, he says there's like a pandemic in the frum world and in the Torah world where nobody knows how to daven, nobody likes to daven, nobody connects to davening. He's like, it's a problem. He's like, and he says that a couple of foundations of the sefer are, number one, like the foundation that he said is that before anything, just like we have in Limud Torah, that a guy starts in Kita Aleph, first grade, right? And if he gets to second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and he's still doing the same thing, like, great, when you're in first grade, you can say the Aleph, Beis, Bal, Peh, beautiful. Shkoyach, actually, it's a little bit, my 2-year-old can do that, but okay, whatever. Let's say you do whatever, fine. Let's say 2 years old, you say the Aleph, Beis, Bal, Peh, beautiful, right? And you're getting a big round of applause, pat on the back. But then, if you're 20 years old, and you're in your yeshiva year, and the best you can do is say the Aleph, Beis, Bal, Peh, no one's going to be giving you a pat on the back and be like, what's wrong with you, right? Because the point is that we have to grow. The expectation is that you grow as you get older, as you grow, as you work harder, you grow. That's just the idea in anything in life, right? Again, if you can only do 1 + 1, yeah, you'll get a candy when you're in first grade. But if you can only do 1 + 1 when you're 20 years old, that's an issue. So Rav Shimshon says that's the same concept of Limud Torah. We all know that, of course, right? Kita Aleph, you're learning what we were all learning, whatever. We're just learning like nekudas and stuff like that. And then, progressively. And you see that people grow. And the more you grow, and already, even throughout 1 year of just learning seriously, all of a sudden you see where you go. But he says that for some reason, what do? We view tefillah in the same way that you kind of view like the Aleph Beis in a way. And yet we pat each other on the back. What does that mean? Basically just explaining is that if we actually think about it, have any of us actually grown in our tefillah since we were like in like first grade? Not really. Really think about it. Do like an honest cheshbon with yourself, right? Right? From the time you learn, let's just say from the time you learn that you could ask Hashem for bakashas and like Shema Koleinu till now, has the tefillah really changed? Probably not. And like we say, it probably looks something like this. Rush to go through Pesukei Zimra, think about last night's dinner, think about what you're doing today, mind wandering, zone in a little bit, okay, skip a little bit here, skip a little there, because you got to make tefillah, Baruch Hu, yada yada yada, okay, Shemona Esrei, Baruch Atah Hashem, yada yada yada, Shema Koleinu, stop Hashem, please, Shakol, close your eyes, Hashem, please, give me parnosa, give me atzlacha, give me health, give me happiness, give me Torah, yada yada yada, and then you just kind of rush to the rest and continue, right? And that's pretty much like what the average like tefillah looks like nowadays. And basically, he's saying that's basically on the same level as your first grade tefillah. It's the same thing. What did you do back in the day? The same thing. You just open your mouth and you start talking to Hashem, right? And the point is, though, he says, why? Why is it exactly the same? And that's the reason we're not connected to it, because we're sitting here, 20 years old, on a first grade level of tefillah. And he says, because it's very simple. Nobody puts any effort into learning about it. He says, we sit here and we do Seder after Seder after Seder, Gemara, halacha, halacha, Musa, this and that. Oh, we do everything. But for tefillah, what do we ever do? Zero. He says we do nothing. He says it's mamish incumbent and ikar upon a person. He says it's essential. If you ever want to grow in tefillah, you need to have a seder to learn about tefillah. Just like you have morning seder for Kamara, just like you have Musar seder, you have to have a tefillah seder. He says if you don't, you're not going anywhere in tefillah. And tefillah is just going to be a waste of time for you. It's going to feel like a waste of time. You're going to get there and you're just going to. But rather, tefillah, like we said, has the opportunities and the power to do things beyond just Hashem being an ATM machine, right? This is what we spoke about. Again, the same concept. I'm just giving like a little bit of a background summary for you and also everybody, just to refresh our brains, like get us back to speed where we're holding over here. that also a lot of us view kind of tefillah as like, so to speak, Hashem is like an ATM. That's basically it. What do I need? I go to Hashem, I say, I need this, I need this, I need this. You know, if they have a big test, I'll ask a little harder, a little more. I need this, and then that's it. And it's not a bad thing. It doesn't feel like a bad thing. It feels like a good thing. Okay, you're turning to Hashem. But if you really think about it, that's pretty much all it is. That's all the relationship is. Just walk in, ask Hashem for some money, give it to you, great. If not, okay, and walk away. That's the way we approach davening. But rather, the way to actually define tefillah, we said that the way to define tefillah is defined in one word, which is not ATM. It's defined in the word relationship. And I'm going to give the mashal, the classic mashal I give a lot of times, but I'm going to say the mashal again just to refresh. But imagine you have a husband, and this guy is looked at around the neighborhood. All the other wives are jealous of this guy or this wife. This dude is like Iker husband of the year. The guy, every single day they see him coming in. He has 5,000 bags of groceries in one hand, jewelry in the other hand, kids on his back. The guy's got everything. The guy's literally does everything. The guy's literally every day you could see him like coming home and just bringing everything for his kids and for his wife, doing all the chores. You know, this guy is the man. This guy's the man. All the men in the neighborhood asking for shalom bayis tips. Like this guy is known as like husband of the year. But what people don't see and what they don't know is that the guy comes in and what's he got? He's got 10 bags of groceries and jewelry and everything and flowers, and he walks into the front door and he goes and sees his wife sitting on the couch. And what does he do? He looks her dead in the eye, takes the stuff, drops it by her feet, and just walks away. And that's it. And it's like, does this sound like a functional marriage to anybody? No, not at all, right? But why? The guy's doing everything. The guy's done every chore. The guy's gotten every gift. The guy's taking care of the kids. Clearly a good father. What's missing? There's one key part missing, and that's the intimacy. That's the emotional connection. That's the relationship. Literally the ikar of anything. You can't have relationship, without emotion, without intimacy, without just being together. Now imagine what the relationship would look like if this guy would just come in and he would just smile at his wife, be like, how are you? How's your day? Look at what I got you. That's it. Just to simply be there and just say, hey, I love you. I just want to spend a few minutes with you. Sit down for a couple of minutes, have a quick coffee before you go to work, whatever, that's it. Imagine the relationship. Then now you got a power husband over here. He's got the relationship. He's got the intimacy. He's got everything. It's great. And what do? The nimsha is, how do we approach, let's say, for example, the average mincha. The average mincha, what do? We come with our hands filled to the top with jewelry and groceries and food and everything, right? With mitzvahs, with Torah. We just had a whole morning seder. We spent 4 hours. That's what Hashem wants. The ikar ratzon of Hashem is Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah connected kulam. Literally the ikar connected thing that Hashem wants from us. Mitzvahs on mitzvahs on mitzvahs on mitzvahs. We come in and our hands are filled with Torah, filled with mitzvahs. And what do? We walk through the front door and Hashem is standing there, mincha. And he's smiling, he's waiting for us. He's so excited to see us. Look at us as children. We came in, look what we have. We just had a whole day of limud Torah. We literally, our hands, we can't even contain the mitzvahs in our hands. And what do? We look at Hashem in the face. Okay, shkoyach, have a nice day. Bam, get out of there. And Hashem's like, no, wait, what? Where'd you go? I want to talk to you. Then you run and you go do more mitzvahs. You go run to afternoon seder and you keep going. And run back to the supermarket again. And it's like, and if you really think about that and take a pause for a second, it's a very powerful analogy. It's a very powerful thought to think about that and be like, wait, so what am I doing during davening? What is the ikar? Is it just me just asking? That's a part of it. But really, the biggest part of davening is relationship. Is just being there. Not just standing there and physically being there. But just emotionally and mentally just trying to be there. In the sense of understanding again what we're saying, what we're doing with the words, and all the whole avodah of tefillah that we're talking about, right? All these different types of tefillahs we're talking about. That we have to change our mindset. If we actually ever want to achieve and acquire a taste of tefillah, an enjoyment of tefillah, it's not just enjoyable to go ask somebody over and over and over again for the same thing constantly and just expect free things in return. Yes, he's got. Obviously he's got 100%. And that's what we should do and you need to do. Don't even think for a second you shouldn't. But it's not so enjoyable for us, honestly. If it's just that, right? To just constantly go and ask for money and ask for money. Okay, it's important, but it's something unfulfilling on our side. For us, in order for us to actually feel that sweetness of davening, which none of us feel. I'm gonna say none of us feel, but it's very likely that that true. That I don't think any of us have achieved this level of tefillah with where we're all striving for it. But for us to actually feel that enjoyment of tefillah, we have to shift the mindset from it just being Hashem is just a godly ATM, a divine ATM, to being our God, and to us coming in and having an intimate relationship. and actually taking the time just to sit down and have a coffee with him, so to speak. That's what davening is. It's just spending the time. And that's what Hashem wants from us, a chance to recharge. And then, by us just being there and doing that, then that's how we're zochet to all the brachas of tefillah. Then Hashem wants to give. Hashem wants to give. Hashem wants to hear what we have to say. You spend a few minutes with him. You spend a few minutes with your wife. Imagine coming in, the marriage man, the same analogy. The guy comes in, drops the easy, he looks at her, and he says something. He says, I want steak for dinner. Turns around, goes to work. Right? Okay. She's a devoted wife. She'll probably make a mistake. But ultimately, it's not it, right? It's not it. Rather than just coming in and just asking, let's just we come in and make it something. Make it sit down, have a cup of coffee with God. That's what we give you tefillah is in a way. Kiviyachol times a million. And anyway, so that's the basic, again, overview of tefillah, of the way that we need to approach tefillah, the way we're actually going to connect tefillah. And so the way we've been spending the sefer, we've been going through the sefer. So Shimshon David Pincus, what he did was, he broke down, basically the Medrash brings down either 10 or 13. I think he's Meforish as 13 terms of tefillah that are used at the Torah. For example, there's many different times in the Torah where the Torah is referring to somebody who's davening, but it uses different words, right? So, for example, right, we know it says like hitpalel, right? That's one word that's the class that means to daven. But we also know then it says ve'aschanan Moshe, right? That means Moshe was davening, but it says the word ve'aschanan. Why does it not say v'yispalel? Right? And then all of a sudden, in other places, we see that people are davening. And what does it say? It says, right, it refers to the tefillah as Rinah or tzaka. Right? Then what did we just see in the Haggadah? Vanitzak el Hashem. Rashi says that they were davening. So why does it say vanitzak? So the Torah uses different words, whether it's 10 or 13. I think he's the first 13. We're going to say 13. These 13 terms are actually, according to the Medrash, 13 ways that are listed explicitly in the Torah that Hashem is telling us to daven. These are 13 different types of tefillahs, 13 different strategies of how to daven and when to daven and what to daven for, and how 13 ways to approach tefillah. And these are ways that are literally brought down in Hashem's Torah. Hashem tells us explicitly. Hashem says, you want to connect to me? Here you go. So for example, like we spoke about before, big kitzer, but just the examples are, let's say the tefillah of tza'aka, right? We said the tefillah of tza'aka, I think was a wordless scream, we said, right? Tza'aka, vanitzak el Hashem. What was the method of tefillah? Crying out. Right, but it was more than just crying out. Bitzer was, I think, crying out. But tza'aka, I think, was actually, I could be wrong. Maybe that was shava. Shava was the wordless scream. The point is there was 3 different levels of different things. And basically the difference is that there's certain levels there's certain times where a person's tefillah is that and the point is we don't even know how to employ it because we don't think about it. If a person is in so much pain, the highest level tefillah is when a person needs something so bad, is in so much pain, and he can't even say words. And like sometimes when we need something so bad, it's like we don't even know what to say to Hashem. We're just standing there, like, and really the ikar is we don't even know this. If we didn't learn about davening, we didn't learn 13 terms. If we didn't know this, we wouldn't even know. But sometimes the ikar is not to say anything. Just the ikar of just like crying out internally, not out loud, right? Internally. Imagining just like a scream going out to Shemayim. And that might be the most powerful tefillah meant for that situation, as we've been discussing. And now we're in the section of Rinah. And the section of Rinah, and I'm trying to let's see where the source of that was used. It says in Yirmiyahu, right? V'ata al tisbala ba'da amazeh ve'al tisa ba'da Rinah v'tefillah, right? It says, so it's referring to tefillah. It says, so he's saying, don't daven for this nation. I think it's actually I'm talking to Yirmiyahu. It says, don't daven al tisbala for this nation. V'al, and also don't, right, the same, and then he continues, v'al tisa ba'adam Rinah v'tefillah. Rinah v'tefillah. So Rinah is a type of tefillah. What is Rinah? So the way we've been defining Rinah means to sing. Rinah basically means simcha. And we've been talking about this concept of davening to Hashem from a place of simcha, and the importance of simcha, and the importance of basically bringing ourselves to this place. How are we going to bring ourselves to this place of simcha when we daven? And that when we daven from a place of simcha, there's nothing like it. There's nothing comparable, right, to these different tefillahs. And now, I believe what we're up to, we got to see what we're up to. But now, so that's the basic adama. So it's where we're from. We actually have all the shiurim recorded. You can always give a listen. But we're continuing within Rinah now. And again, the point is that right now we're talking about going through the section of Rinah is when to apply this type of tefillah called Rinah, which is sometimes literally singing, right? Which literally means, and I think we didn't talk about that, I think probably this other today, which literally means like sing, like as in like get the tefillah and you actually sing, and like when does that do something, whatever? Or singing just means like praising Hashem from a place of simcha, right? Rinah doesn't mean literally like singing like a tune, like it means just saying the words of Psukei de Zimra. Words of Tehillim, the praises of Hashem. When is it the time to praise Hashem, right? All these different things. And we actually saw that by praising Hashem, that's one of the ways to unlock his bracha, to actually have his answered. Sometimes we think we're reading through Pesukei Nezim and we're like, okay, there's always a time. I'm not asking for anything, I'm not doing anything. But the point is, just by reading those words, you're actually eliciting favor from Hashem. So let's continue inside in Vav. And you guys can look along if you want. Okay, so we're in Rinah Vav and Daf Nun Vav, I believe. Anybody correct me if we're skipping anything or no? We're good? Is it right? Okay. V'ksiv. Says in Eicha. Very famous. Kumi roni balayla lerosh hashmuros. Shivchi kamayim libech. Noichach b'nei Hashem shi elov kapecha al nefesh alecha. Ha'tuvi b'ra b'rosh kol chutzos. So what's this pasuk saying over here? Did I run on the pasuk? Okay, either way, but it says Kumi roni. It means arise at night. Kumi roni balayla. Arise and sing. Arise and sing at night. The Rosh Hashemah sit towards the beginning of the last section of the night. So Shivchi Kamayim Libech, and pour out your heart like water, right? Pnei Hashem, before Hashem. Excuse me, not She'i, it's Se'i love, right? It's like Se'u love. Kapecha, raise your hands up to Shemayim. Al Nefesh Ol Alecha, right? Atuvim Berav, for the life of the little children that are suffering and starving. Berosh Kol Chutzos, right? They're seized by starvation. This is the pasuk in Eicha, obviously, a very powerful pasuk, intense pasuk talking about the suffering of Klal Yisrael. So the Kasha, we have an issue. Rinah, he tefillah haba bitoch simcha v'shevach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Because everything we've spoken about to this point about Rinah, it's a tefillah of simcha. It's a tefillah from a place of simcha, a place of rejoicing, and that's and sometimes just being happy and rejoicing with the fact that being with Hashem is enough to listen and answer. But here we see in this pasuk, Kubi Roni Rosh Hashmuros, right? Right? This does not sound like anything we've spoken about before. This Rinah sounds to be pretty bad. Seems to be a pretty intense tefillah. Right, the imkain eich nimsa makoma kan betfila al nefesh olalecha ha tufim barav berosh kol chutzos. So when children are starving at literally every single corner, how is this a place for Rinah? Kumi roni balayla. Why is this a time to be kumi roni balayla? Get up and praise Hashem. Why would I? What? This is not the time for Rinah. This is the time anybody for Shabbat, Tza'aka, as we spoke about, Bitzer. That's what it seems to be like. How could this be a time for Rinah? What are we talking about? Aval be'emes miucheves hi tefila zu sharina. But believe it or not, this tefillah is a special type of Rinah. Davka bizman ra'av v'tsaros naros, which is employed and which we employ in our tefillahs only at a time of famine and big tsaros and tremendous suffering. Kisha nizgeru sharei shemayim, when the gates of Shemayim are closed, when we're in this Eis Sarah beyond, v'tzrichim liftoach sharei bracha, we need to open up the gates of bracha from Shemayim. De'ein lecha posech sharei hashpa tova min Shemayim kimo shiros v'tishbachos, because nothing opens the gates of Shemayim like shiros v'tishbachos, like song and praise, as we've seen already this parak. There's no tefillah that just breaks open the heavens, that like praises to Hashem and song to Hashem. Shemiyad. Right? Because the moment you turn a smiling face to Shemayim, you show a panim. Tzehuvas is like I think it's like lit up, like a panim yafa, right? The idea is that you're looking up to Hashem with a smiling face. Mekayim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bo, we said this Josh the other day or a while ago. Hashem tzilcha, right? Hashem is our shadow, so to speak, right? Umar lo afhu panim tzuvos, right? Hashem tzilcha yad minecha. What does that mean? We say it every day now. That Hashem is our shadow. So the point is, your shadow moves with you. So when you smile at your shadow, so to speak, your smile shadows back at you. That's how it works, right? So when you show Hashem a smiling face, when you praise Hashem from Simcha, when you show Hashem that you want to be there and you want to be close with Him, Hashem shows you that same smile right back. And when God shows you a smile, let's just say good things happen. With klal gadol, a big rule. Who she'ein hashchina shora ela mitoch simcha. The tremendous rule is mentioned in the Gemara explicitly that the Shekhinah does not dwell except in a place of Simcha. Wherever the Shekhinah is, right, wherever Hashem's divine presence is, that's where the bracha is going to be found. We also said the opposite. Bava Kama it says Basar Anya Azla Anyusa. Right, poverty follows a poor person, which means and in a place where there's sadness, in a place where there's poverty, in a place where there's bad things, then sadness and poverty will follow it too. Ube Psachim, it says Isra Malach Hamamuna Zaniusa Nava Shemaya. That this angel that's appointed over poverty is named Nava, like filth. Literally. So the point is that we're seeing this concept in the bottom of the Gemara. The Shechina, where there's Simcha, that's where the Shechina dwells. Just like that, we show Hashem smile, Hashem shows us His smile. But at the same concept, where there's a place of sadness, then sadness follows too. Vizgula atsuma hizu. This is a tremendous skula. Kasher adam bitsara. When a person is in suffering or in any sort of pain, v'share bracha sagurim lefanav, and it seems that the gates of heaven are closed before him. And again, this doesn't mean when we say tremendous place of pain, it doesn't mean that you're literally going through this life-altering tragedy. It could just mean like you have a bellyache. It can mean that you don't know what you're going to do for college. It could be that's what this is. We're talking about anything is an eight sorrow, right? She's bonim berov tovos barach. That in what's the segula to open the gates of bracha at this time? To contemplate the rov tovos of Hashem, the rov tovos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. Al kol ha'olam bechlal, that Hashem gives to the world as a whole, and then ve'elav befra, and to us in particular, individually. U'kamosha kalsa b'siyas yeshar parachas v'zal v'hine ein lecha adam be'ezah matzah sheyimsa. Im ani v'im asher, im bari v'im chola. Shlo yirdan, it flows the tovos v'rabos b'matzevo. Says Mesilas Yesharim says it's a tremendous cloud. To understand that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you are. A rich person, a poor person, every person is zochet to see tremendous tovos from Shemayim. Kia asher ba'abari, the healthy person, the rich person. Kvar hu chayav lo yizbarach. Obviously, he's obviously thankful to Hashem. Recognize, be makir tov that Hashem made you healthy. Hashem gave you parnasa. Ha'ani chayav lo. And what's the ani chayav to Hashem for? She'afilu ba'aniyo mamsi lo parnas also derech nes v'nifla ve'eno menichal amos berav. And somehow the ani needs to thank Hashem that even with this tremendous poverty, the guy has no income, the guy has no money, yet he's still alive. Yet somehow by some miracle, money just comes to him, one way or the other. Whether it's people extending their hand to him, whether it's even if it's charity, he doesn't work for it. It just gets to him, and he's not dying of famine. He's not dying of starvation on the street, right? So achola al shemach ziko bekovet chalio, and the person who's sick needs to thank Hashem for what and recognize the tov bekovet chalav makotza ve'eno menichol lared shachas. That Hashem keeps him alive. Hashem doesn't send him to the grave. You need to thank Hashem for that. And v'chein kol kayotze bazeh. There's no person who doesn't experience any tov of Hashem. Impossible. Zero. No person. Even the Rishonim of this world. V'izbonen bazeh. You should contemplate this. Harbe ad sheyavu lidei shira. And contemplate this till it brings you to a place of shira, a place of song. Now, does this mean that what would be a place of song? That mean we need to think about this, and then until you start dancing around in your spot, like a guy in the back over there, my boy, the whatever. Does that mean you need to get it? No, that's not what we're talking about. Because it's not literally shira. Doesn't mean you start singing a niggin. Shira is praise of Hashem. It means just recognizing whether it prompts you to say, I'm so excited. Oh, thank you, Hashem. I got to say it to Tehillim right now. That's like the Iker Shebach. Thank you, Hashem. Take out even the Gemara and you learn Torah. Take out a Chassidus Sefer. Whatever. Something that like you're just showing you're so overcome with thanks to Hashem. And even to speak in English. Just speaking to Hashem, be like, wow, thank you so much. I'm recognizing the tov that you have breath coming out of your nose, that you're able to live. He says, ain suffik. He says, I know I'm giving you a little bit of I'm making it sound easy. It's not easy. He says, ain suffik, this is very hard. This is hard in many situations. It's not an easy thing to do. So all of a sudden, you're sitting there in bed suffering, and like you have like a 103 fever, and you missed 3 days of yeshiva already, throwing up, to be like, thank you, Hashem. He said, like, I'm not going to lie, it's very difficult. But this was the Eitzah of Yirmiyahu and Navi, right? That if the children are suffering, we said at the beginning, why is it a time of Rinah right now when the children are suffering, the children are starving? How is this a time for Rinah? Because he says this is dafka a time for Rinah. Because he says that you see children starving on the street, so to speak, you're in Esara. That's when you light up the night with song, with shira to Hashem. That even in this moment, ve'az laila kayom ya'ir lo kachashecha ka'ora, and all of a sudden the night starts to shine like the day, because the segula, the secret. Again, these are all eitzas. These are things that we're learning right now. Al pi chazal, al pi the Torah. We're learning these things that Hashem is telling us. These are not just like nice like ideas. This is a seder. We're learning about tefillah. We're learning how to daven right now. Now we're actually learning what happens. There's a scriptural source for it now. Here you go. Hashem tells us explicitly. What does it mean? Kumi roni balayla, and the suffering? That when we suffer, the way to get out of that suffering, learn like Yirmiyahu and Navi. The only way to bring Yeshua is to bring yourself to Shira. And let's look at the footnote over there. Kasavli Rav Agon, Rav Peretz Maimon Shlita Megillah, Megillas Banegev. Masha Kasav. Shetzarech lismoach gabe Esara. That about the topic that a person needs to rejoice even in Esara. Kach Kara says there's a story, I guess. Kach Kara. Lanu pam b'chutz la'aretz. Ba'atziras keshamim lo Takpotz. I guess it was in, is it a year probably? Yeah, I guess there's probably a year. There's a drought. It can't be a year. No. Yeah, it could. Okay, yeah, it's probably a year. Right, so I guess it was a year. I'm assuming. Okay, either way, there was a drought in Chutzar. So Gazru Kama Tanios Lo Nanu. And point is, they declared many fasts, and the rain still never came. Also Yom, then what did they try? They tried something. Also Yom Mishta V'Simcha V'Shira V'Shevach Lebora V'Nanu. Rather, what they did, they stopped fasting for a day, and they just did a day of Mishta V'Simcha. Not getting drunk with the boys and having Kiddush club. And they had a day of Mishta V'Simcha, of praise to Hashem. They got together, whatever it looked like, and it was a communal day of Tehillim. They got together, they did Tehillim, and they brought out bottles of wine. And everybody was reciting Tehillim all day, crying to Hashem, singing Tehillim. Prepare, right? Mizmor Sameches, Paul says explicitly in Tehillim, what was it? V'tzadikim yismechu. The tzadikim will rejoice. Ya'al tu lifnei Elokim v'asisu b'simcha. Right? Exalt before Hashem. Right? And then and that's how you're gonna be answered. So, you see the tzadikim gam yismechu. Zeh Omar, tzadikim gam yismechu v'gam v'yaltzu lifnei midas adin. I guess I'm assuming midas adin. Dahainu beis saros. V'yaltzu b'simchos. Is this talking about Zerampin? Is that what he's saying? Zerampin and Kabbalah B'Kasha also? Is he saying Zerampin? Okay, I don't know. He might be bringing something Kabbalistic here. I'm not sure if that's. I can't imagine that's what he's referring to. But either way, point is we see the concept of the story over here. So let's go back into the words. Zos ba'ot. So continuing in this. Kol tova hamagia la'adam harei ba'osa harega niftach lo shar. So kol tova magia la'adam. So anything that comes to a person, harei ba'osa harega niftach lo shar. In that moment that you have any tov in your life, whether it's parnasa, whether you're feeling happy, whether you're just feeling good, that means a gate was open for you. There was a gate in Shemayim that was open for you. The proper code of conduct is to do what? That what should you do immediately? You should say thank you immediately, instantly. You feel any sort of happiness, you immediately thank Hashem. Why? Because that's what they're supposed to do. Someone gives you a cup of water, say thank you. And by doing that, you're going to keep the gate open. Believe it or not, if you think the moment you see a tova, that means the gate's open for you. And if you then praise Hashem and say thank you to Hashem, the gate stays open. And then this is how you have constant good. This is how other things will come through. Right? But if you don't praise and thank Hashem immediately, then even in that moment, you might end up losing the bracha you just got because the gate might close. You're not keeping it open. Right? Because the way to keep the gate open, the way to hold on to the gate, you hold the door open to thank Hashem, to give shevach to Hashem. That we see like Kol Mironi, we see all this inning of Rinah and Simcha. The klal gadol hu shetzarich is a tremendous cloud that you need to know. Shar misha niftach kal yoslach ziko pasuach meliftocha mechodesh. And this is a tremendous cloud right now. And understand this cloud, and here there's a beautiful cloud, that it's much easier to keep a gate open than it is to open a new gate. It's the truth. Right? So when you're already experiencing the tov, the first thing you need to do is beat out your own arrogance to just, not say thank you Hashem and just, think about whatever it is. If we can actually grab onto this and immediately thank Hashem, we're going to keep the gate open. That means we're holding the door opening for more brachas to come. V'ata achi, listen to the words. My brother. Rav Shimshon says, my brother. Shema yesod gadol van klali. Listen to this general principle. This yesod I'm going to give you. Ein lecha davar amevi bracha v'yeshua k'mo yasimcha v'atov levav. There's nothing in this world that brings bracha and Yeshua and hashpah from Shemayim like simcha, like joy. This is simcha shel mitzvah, right? Like simcha v'tov levav. Ve'in lecha davar maybe rose v'tsaros k'ma atzvus. And there's nothing that brings worse and more tzara to the world than atzvus, than sadness, than depression, spiritual depression. V'koloshen apostle says in Eov, ki pachad pachadati. I felt this dread. Ve'yasani v'asher yagorasi yavili. I feared and I'm frightened, right? U'v'kasher koda la'adam hefsed mesuyam. When a person experiences some sort of loss. U'bali de kach atzvus. Then he becomes depressed. He lost $1 million. Now he's depressed. Ha-hefsed be'mamun sha'alu lavo ketotza me'atzvuso. That this tremendous loss that will come from what? That will come from this sadness, that's atzvus. Gadol hu le'ein erech me'hefsed shekara v'garam atzvus is way worse than the loss that came from what caused the sadness. It's way worse than the original loss. And a place where there's simchas alev and or chedva and joy, an or of Hashem rejoicing, sham shore abrocha ve'atzlacha. As we see. So what did we see today? We have a little bit long because we just did a summary at the beginning. But what do we see? We see a tremendous cloud, a tremendous yisod. That the way that we open the gates of Shemayim, this is why, again, why do we say Psukei de Zimra before Shemona Esrei? The Ikar Tefillah Shemona Esrei. Psukei de Zimra is all praise. It's all praise because the point is, that's how we open the gates. How do we enter into the Kodesh Kadashim Shemona Esrei? We get to the highest. Shemona Esrei is a build-up. You'll see later in the Sefer. It's a build-up. And Psukei de Zimra is the ladder. You climb the ladder up. The only way you get into the inner chamber is you got to go through the ladder. The way you climb the ladder, the way you open the gate and enter the gate, is by saying the Shabach and praises of Hashem. And that's how we're going to be Zochas. So it says the biggest skula to be answered for brachas and yeshuas is through simcha. And it doesn't just mean, like, again, we spoke about the other day about what does it mean to be b'simcha? How can you control if I'm b'simcha? It's a natural feeling. Good things happen, I'm happy. Bad things happen, I can't control it. It says, no. But the Rambam says that no, it is in your control. It says it might not be in your control, let's say, necessarily even the official outcome, but it's in your control to do things to bring you to simcha, right? To do the right thing. There's a joy of doing the right thing. There's a joy of connecting to Hashem. There's a joy of, again, doing things that will bring you to this positive place of learning things that you enjoy, of learning Torah that you enjoy. And again, we even know that before the Levium, I think, did there any Levium here? No, nobody's Levi. There's Levium and also the Nevi'im. Before the Nevi'im went to go prophesy, you know what they used to do? I probably said this before, but they used to play like instruments for them. Because why? Because music gives a lot of people like a sense of calm, a sense of joy, a sense of inner peace, a sense of inner happiness. That's the koach of music. And so it actually says in the Gemara and Shabbos that before the Levium went and did the avoda to get them because we wanted to get them to this place of simcha. The Kohanim. Sorry, I think this is the Levim would play for the Kohanim. Right? The way that the Kohanim, even calling here, right? I believe, I hope I'm quoting the Gemara right, but I'll double check. But I'm pretty sure that the concept is before the Kohanim would do their avoda, that's when the Levim would play their instruments. And they would literally hype them up because it would make them happy. It would give them inner peace and simcha. And then therefore, the Kohanim were then fit for a place to bring down the Shekhinah because the Shekhinah only rests in a place where there's simcha. So this is also, we know. Believe it or not, it's an Indian. It's an Indian. You have a source for it. It's an Indian. It's a Gemara and Shabbos that says, if for you, to hype you up for a shiur, to hype you up for davening, to listen to some music that gets you some that gets you closer to Hashem, by all means, go for it. Literally. Saying that's a way to do it. It's a way to bring you to this place of simcha. It's mamish mefurish in the Gemara. So, anyways, that's the concept of simcha. The idea of keeping the gates open. We should be zocha again to see and feel true simcha. Shkoyak, guys. Great to be back. And now, every night. That's it. This is the official night Seder Chabura. First slot. We're finishing. That's it. I ain't taking no for an answer. We're finishing the Seder. Shkoyak, guys.